Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Aztec Debrief. I'm your host, Rami Alarian.
And I'm your co-host, Jalen Vega.
And today we have someone way cooler than us in the studio, which it's rare, but it's exciting. Parker Edison is big on the rap scene, producing a beautiful docu-series, an audio essay of sorts called Rap Diego. Part of rap groups himself, and well, you might be better at introing yourself. Hit it.
Nah, you covering all the big bases,
Let's
man.
go.
Yeah, KPBS. I'm a multimedia artist. I curate events. I rap. I lecture. I try and do a little bit of everything. I'm a little bit of a little bit of activism every now and then.
Good.
Yeah, I like to tell people I got four San Diego Music Awards, 3 shows on NPR, 2 appearances on TEDx, and this is my first time here.
This is wonderful.
Yes.
It's good that we're on that list. This is going to be huge for us.
Already.
Well, thank you for coming here today. And what I really wanted to get, into the meat and potatoes with you is kind of the rap scene in San Diego. You produced this podcast with KPBS, and I kind of want to talk more about it, but especially how it ties into education. You yourself have said that, younger folks need to produce and consume as much art as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And I want to hear more of your thoughts on that. But first of all, tell me about Rap Diego a little bit, and then we can go into maybe the history of the San Diego rap scene.
Word. That's exactly what Rap Diego does. Is it's a 12-episode deep dive into the history of San Diego rap. Spans a 40-year period, I think from 1980 to 2020. Mm-hmm. Because after 2020 is COVID and nothing is quite the same. But it really highlights the introduction and the evolution of the San Diego rap scene, and it gets into the contributions that we've made. I like to say that we're a test city, but that's a whole separate subject. It's like an audio documentary of everything that it's a fast and dirty of everything that's happened in a 40-year timeline.
Amazing. And I think initially when I heard about your series and I heard about just the words San Diego rap history, I personally, and I think a lot of people outside of San Diego, when they think of West Coast rap, they aren't immediately thinking of San Diego. So I'm kind of wondering, who's the Sacagawea? Who brought Sugar Hill Gang down to San Diego and taught them a thing or two about rap?
Well, we that's our thing is we play a part in everybody else's thing. And then we also cultivate ideas like a dojo, and it happens here. Mm-hmm. And people know that San Diego is part of the overall rap scene because it's all good from Diego to the Bay, right? And that's just fine.
He's testing us.
Yeah. That's California love.
We're failing right now.
Not at all. It was a pop quiz. The next one I'll write it out. You'll be ready.
You're a great lecturer, and you're doing your job.
All of it. But Tupac name checks us. A lot of different rappers name check us. And when you go back to Biggie Smalls has this Notorious B.I.G. has an old record, Juicy, where he would go started rapping Duke, da-ha.
You never thought that hip hop would take it this far.
Pop quiz.
I aced the second question.
There you go, just like that. And Rappin' Duke is like it's in that Sugar Hill Gang phase. They all come out in a I want to say within maybe like a 10-year period. And Rappin' Duke is one of the seminal records that goes out. That's one of the ones that inspires Notorious B.I.G. That comes out on the East Coast, but it gets brought out to the West Coast, and LA DJs start playing it. And that's what gets it notoriety on the East Coast. And that's how San Diego is playing a part when we talk about that Sugar Hill Gang side of it. That's how it goes, but that's really a good example of the part that we often play, where somebody has something and they bring it with us and we add a little oomph to it, give it that extra boost, and it goes out and goes further.
I have a question.
Please.
I have a question because it seems you're doing better on the pop quizzes than me, okay? As for our audiences and me myself, I really know nothing about rap history. So could you give us a quick little the significance of the coasts? Because what's the history behind there? What happened to Midwest rap? Where's
It's actually a really good
Where's
question.
the Kansas rap? Why do we not hear
Right?
about them? Where's
We
the
don't.
Dakotas rap? Why is
We
the
need them.
coast so like? Is it because it's like next to the ocean and like we have like a lot of like traveling from there? What's the background on that?
I think that's exactly what it is, that the coasts are always the busiest, right? Like you look at New York, you look at LA, like even Washington State, Washington, D.C., like the coasts are always going to get that. And then when you look at the North and the South, it's still the coasts are like really what's having it. What's landlocked is where things are produced. And so when rap is just like any other type of music. And when you get like the Great Migration and you get like jazz and when cats are leaving from the South or during the Depression, you get cats going to the East to get a new life, and you get them going to the West to get a new life. And then they do music over there, and this becomes jazz, and this becomes the blues, and then rock and roll kind of unites them. Well, rap comes out of both of those, right? So you get on the East Coast, you get this jazz infused kind of rap where they're almost doing like the New Yorican style, or they're doing spacey theoretics over there with that style, like Wu-Tang. They're talking philosophy. On the West Coast, you get the blues, right? Well, the blues is talking about real life. My lady just left me. You know, I lost my job. Gangster rap is spent in that direction. So they're often using those types of riffs. You get Dre and them using the organ, you know what I mean, on Nothing Like a G Thing, and that's church, that's blues. So that's where the coasts play a part, and they both. That's also where the biggest radio stations are kind of at, and that's also where the biggest shows are going. Like people are touring in the Midwest, and the Midwest is playing a part, but it's maybe I guess it's like the upper Midwest, because you get Detroit, Motown, and them. They're doing like real music labels, so they're playing a part, and then later the South gets its due. When you know, East Coast and West Coast, the South is always there. They're dependable. We always, both the East and the West Coast are listening to Scarface down South, right? So the South is a contributor. But then when it gets its buzz, you do get rappers like Tech Nine, who comes out of Kansas, and you get Detroit coming back around, and it gets its style. You get Dilla, you get Eminem, right? So like they make their way in around the if it's 4 decades, around that third decade, right? It's almost like first decade is like East Coast, second is like West Coast, third is like the middle, and then the fourth is that's where we're in right now, where everybody's at the party.
Awesome.
Is that kind of how things moved in the 80s? Things are starting in the East Coast. In the 90s, things moved over to the West and kind of dispersed through the middle and maybe the more 2000s, and now things are everywhere. Is that kind of how rap moved?
I mean, you know, that's a broad of it. That's a broad stroke, but yeah, I mean, they're all doing it simultaneously, because tours are going from the East to the West and West to the East, and they're all dipping in the South. Even when people make jokes about like Vanilla Ice, he was a touring artist who was playing and was well known in the Florida area, so he was killing shows out there. So when those other acts would come, he would be like an opening act, right? So like even cats that we joke about still paid their dues, and like the Midwest and the South, they were always a part of it, and they were always a part of the tours going both directions.
Interesting.
This is so insightful for me. I'm gonna do. You have to quiz me again at the very end about what you just said, so I can like redeem myself. Okay.
Yeah.
The migration of rap, and it's not something that I ever really considered too much. But when it hit San Diego, how did things bloom from there?
San Diego we were always a part of it, because LA is 200 miles away.
From the beginning, okay.
Yeah. So if you're in LA, you're coming down here, you're doing shows, or your family is down here, or you always had ties out here, or you're out here for vacation. Just like we're up in LA for whatever reason, right? So that stuff would always be down here, and cats would be writing. But once it's going in LA, it's bubbling, and San Diego is just kind of playing its part as like a dojo, where like artists are they're just fledgling artists, and they're doing tour stuff, and they're getting it. It's just part of the bubble. It really is what's making like it's like the fuel and the where things are just getting started, and a lot of the cats are coming down here to kind of try out their skills, like from LA. Yeah.
So a lot of, you know, the awards that LA has kind of gotten, San Diego has shared, because we're just so close, and vice versa.
Right. The same way family does. Yeah.
And in the 80s, what did things look like? Who were of prominence in San Diego?
A lot of the Chicano rappers were they were really, really buzzing and getting that going, and then you would get the gangster rappers happening. And then I'm trying to think of what the next step would probably be. Then you get from so you would get like the Mighty Key Gang is one of the first, or Soulful Ernie is like he might be like the grandfather of it. He might have like the first big San Diego rap record, and he's doing like a baby bubba, those kind of like half disco, half party records is him. And then after that, because it's all in these same little neighborhoods that are happening, like near Encanto, and it's also in National City. They're both doing, like I said, sort of like a little bit of gang rap, and that's happening in LA. Then I think it goes maybe in a 5 to 10 year span. Those cats have young homeboys, and rap is starting to change anyway, and it's getting less out of the gangster rap in the mainstream and more into sort of like this artsier realm. And so you get rappers like Ice-T that are happening in the mainstream, but Ice-T is doing like real militant, almost like the philosophical stuff you're catching in the East Coast, but he's doing it very much in this gang terminology. And so San Diego rap kind of follows suit, and we get our first wave of what we call backpack rappers, who are inspired by what's happening in LA with like Freestyle Fellowship, Project Blowed. You familiar with that? That's good work. Like you'll really dig that type stuff. That's Micah 9, is AC Alone. Those are anyway. Project Blowed is a venue that's almost modeling what the Apollo was doing in New York, right? Where people are playing and they're underground, but they're playing for the crowd, and the crowd's deciding if they like them, and from there their name gets a buzz. That's what's happening in LA, and San Diego's kind of following suit with that. Meanwhile, the gangster stuff is still going because that's where the money is. But experimentally, artistically, we're getting into like this backpack style stuff that's like more jazz influenced. So yeah, that's like the 80s into the early 90s.
And first of all, how did it evolve from there? And in general, how does rap evolve? You kind of talked about this before. You know, they're teaching the next generation a little bit, but how does any music genre evolve? This might be a tough question.
No, it should be.
Give us the entire history of music.
Yeah, give us the entire history.
From the get-go. Okay? Every
the
single
very
genre,
beginning.
okay? Every single artist, and you have about 15 minutes.
From the
no pressure.
From the first time our ancestors started tapping sticks and rocks together,
Right.
I want you to tell us.
Yeah.
Got it.
Once we first started learning rhythm.
You got it.
Syncopation.
This is on a tangent. Ken Burns has an amazing documentary on country music.
Okay.
And when I say that, it doesn't give enough credit to what happens in there. It is I've never met anyone who's ever watched. It's 8 parts, and each one's like an hour. Everyone watches the whole thing, and everyone's like, yo, it's riveting. Like it's an impeccable piece of documentation, and it just happens to be on something that everyone has a connection to, but we don't all know the history of it. So like that's one right off the bat. I think it's called The History of Country Music by Ken Burns. That's phenomenal. And that goes through and shows you the way, like, you know, that music evolves, and rap is similar to that in the sense that it's kind of a niche music, right? It's before it becomes pop. It's these neighborhoods that have some things in common, and it's the politics and the economics and what's happening in their everyday lives. So you get gangster rap that's happening, and it might be like NWA. And that's like word of mouth, right? It's on a label, but it's not getting major promotion at like in newspapers or you know, anything like that. It's just word of mouth, and that gets a buzz, and that's like the NWA cats and everything that starts to come from that. And there's an underground rap that's feeding that. So you got the underground, that's the talent that's unsigned, that's just stuff that interests people, and that gets busy and it gets popular and it becomes embraced by the big people and it becomes mainstream. And what's happening in life is affecting what's happening on the underground. So when police brutality starts to happen, then you get rappers who are talking about police brutality. And then whatever's happening in the underground just starts to shake up, and that becomes the content that people are talking about, and it makes a buzz. And then those artists become the big mainstream buzz rappers. And it just kept happening like that. So you would get like the gangster rappers, but they're growing up, and as they're growing up, they're telling what they're learning to their young homeboys and homegirls. And those cats are like, and they're telling them, hey, don't be out here, you know, gangbanging or selling dope. Go to school, get your head in some books, learn about philosophy. I never could, you go do it. So the young homeboys go do that, and they become rappers because they're their homeboys are rappers. So the gangster rappers are spawning the young, intelligent rappers, as they always have. And the young, intelligent rappers start this backpack rap thing, and they start a little function out here called the improv. There's a couple other ones. There's Mesopotamia. You would get, Rockers. You would get all these venues where underground rappers were just starting to throw their own events and showing some spotlights on each other. But their rap styles were getting deeper and deeper because they're making their own scene. It becomes sort of a Chitlin circuit, right? And that just keeps getting bigger and yielding more artists. And what's happening in the city or what's happening in society just keeps getting reported on. And so the style keeps changing from like gangster rap into backpack rap, and backpack rap becomes sort of like jazz, and that's what you get with groups like Diggable Planets. And then from there, it gets into more pop stuff, and that might be like the hit songs that you start to see in like the 90s with, it's even though it's gangster rap, you'd also get like Naughty by Nature, or even what Tupac is doing back then. And so it just keeps evolving. It just keeps evolving, and it's always paralleling what's happening. The mainstream is paralleling, it's pulling from the underground, and the underground is always inspired by, dreams of getting into the mainstream.
I mean, I feel like you explained that pretty well for such a broad question. But yeah, I completely understand it. There's a lot of factors at play.
Right.
There's a lot of factors at play. It's not just teaching another generation, but it's also the uniqueness that underground rap has to abide by if they want to, I guess, bubble up to the surface.
Right.
You were talking about venues a little bit earlier. As someone who entered San Diego only 5 years ago, something I always get a little depressed by is seeing all these great things that have already closed up. What kind of San Diego venues were particularly, I guess, epicenters of rap?
We had a place called the Epicenter. That was
No way.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Another pop quiz question. Did I ace it?
You gave me it. I passed. And they, that was recent. That might have been like the early 2000s, like
Really?
2010, 2012. And they would have shows that were underground, but dig. They would have Yellow Wolf and Odd Future. So,
Wow.
Right? That's like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
That's the underground. And because they were just getting a buzz. And now you fast forward and they are the mainstream, right? So we would always have acts like that, and we would give them a nice little bump up because you could get seen here by, the thing about San Diego is everyone's traveling here, or they're coming here for work, or they're vacationing, or their family members here. So if you come here and people see you, those people are now going to disperse and tell everyone all over the country, maybe even all over the world, because it might be the military. So San Diego always offered that. So we would have venues like the Casbah is still here, and they're still having shows. They've been there for like 35 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then you would have, like I said, these almost one-off where groups that were curating events would have a weekly or a monthly. So you might have BattleBot, which is DJ Artistic was having that. And that was, you can look up footage on BattleBot, and it's like a legendary thing. That would be at the Casbah, or you would have cats taking over a loft in downtown San Diego, and they would call it the Loft, and they would just invite people over. But it was a rental space.
Yeah.
They would just throw shows or have all-night parties where people were just DJing and freestyling. So, you'd have the Loft, you'd have Thomas Paine Cafe, you'd have Red Sea Lounge would be downtown. It's all of these. It's like probably 50 different venues over like a 20-year period, and then another set comes in, right? It's so many weird spots that just cultivated the art scene.
Yeah. And it's really nice to hear that Casbah is still cooking and still going through, and they were a pivotal part. Starting around 35 years ago, you said? I
want to say they've been going for 35 years. Yeah. And they're if you come to San Diego, that's the spot that people, that's our CBGBs. That's the spot that people can say that you made it if you come from out of town and you're playing the Casbah. Of course, there's other spots now, like, I don't even know if not 4th and B. The place is downtown.
Oh, no.
I forget. So no one passes that test. But Yeah, there's other really really big venues that.
Well, all I know is like House of Blues.
House of Blues. That's
Okay.
the one.
Yes. I was like, no. I'm like, that one's too easy. Like, I feel like that can't be the venue. Like, you guys are naming all these cool venues.
Well, House of Blues, they do some pretty stellar performances. Still, I think they're
the Voodoo
a main
Room is good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the observatory. There's other venues that rack it
Yeah.
up, but still, the Casbah is one of those ones where they're like, there's something special if you've played there.
Yeah, and you were saying that there's a lot of these big names here in San Diego that are coming through. Were there any that originated here? Maybe the fathers or the grandfathers that came from San Diego.
Mitchie Slick, you can catch Mitchie Slick. He has a song Imperial that plays like on our radio, plays in our clubs.
Wonderful.
And then Mitchie's worked with. There's a clip of E40, the rapper E40 is talking about how he memorizes his rhymes from this thing he heard Mitchie Slick say. Like Slick is super respected. So Mitchie Slick is one.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Stone is another one with the Chill Bill record. Okay. Ganja Sufi is one. He's an underground cat, but he had a song Nickel and Dimes, and it was awesome. So Jay-Z took it and just put a verse over it and put it on his Magna Carta album. So the beat is by Ganja Sufi, and you get a lot of cats out here. Orko the Psychotic Alien or Orko Elohim is one of the cats people talk about. Right now there's a young man named Rick Scales who's just killing it. Like he's all over. He's playing shows all over the West Coast. So there we have a lot of cats that have contributed, and the thing is sometimes you get somebody like J.O. Felony. J.O. Felony is a San Diego rapper who signed to Def Jam, and you'll get him and he'll be like, I was playing basketball with Snoop and I was talking about my rap style. I'm from San Diego. I'm a neighborhood Crip, so I'm gonna call my rap Crip Hop. Well, then Snoop puts out a record and calls it Crip Hop. And so J.O. was like, hey, that was my idea. And that's what you get out of, that's a lot of times what you get out of San Diego is cats come here and they cultivate an idea, or they meet with some of our cats, and it kind of gets a little boost of extra flavor, and then it might come out in a different place. Like we get a lot of cats who write songs, and so a lot of our cats aren't like super celebrity famous. They're just known in celebrity circles. Yeah.
Influential, despite if their name is a household name.
Absolutely.
I have another question.
Please.
Can I please? I'm so intrigued. I'm really like listening. This is so insightful for me. Like I love a good history lesson, and I see the lecturer coming out too, like answering, But I feel like again, this is just I know like the most basic like facts about rap, and or not even facts. This is kind of leading into my question. I feel like the most like common maybe misconception about rap is like the beef between rappers and like the diss tracks and stuff like that, but this whole like episode you've just been talking about like the camaraderie and the brotherhood and like the community built around these like cultural hubs and these artistic hubs. Why do you think like sometimes those stories get pushed into the media more than like these beautiful relationships and like exchange between people?
Social media thrives and runs on negativity. It's a faster, more contagious message. We don't even want to listen to happy music. Like all the music that we listen to has some level of conflict in it, right? So like, I think the stories of camaraderie don't go as far. Those are the insides, stories, the behind the scenes stories, and you could tell who's been where by who knows what, right? And so if all they know is a lot of the conflict, then that's how far they are from the center of what's happening. Also, you got siblings?
I have a brother.
How far apart are y'all in
We're
age?
4 years.
Y'all fight?
No, actually.
No?
I've never like when people but I also didn't grow up in the same household as my brother.
Fair.
So like we've had just a very like, sup, how's school? Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
my mom had 5 siblings in a 3-bedroom house.
Ooh.
So I understand I've heard stories of like just my brother would just rip up my homework just to get a reaction out of me, and I tackled him into a shower. And
Right.
so that Yep.
Wow. My sister broke my leg, so I understand.
I never
She broke
understood.
my leg, yeah.
You still love her?
Oh, of course.
And
Why would I never?
That's rap beef. That's rap beef.
Gotcha.
Right? That's your folks, and if you stay with them for any length of time, something will happen. You'll have some type of discrepancy. Someone gets their leg broke. It heals up. We're good 10 years later. You know what I mean? And so that's what happens. But the news doesn't always follow stories all the way through.
Gotcha.
Right? So
It's just the peak of the moment, the peak of the gotcha, whatever sells.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you're right. I feel like rap beef is still what persists.
Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, Kendrick and Drake.
People know
Like,
that. That's what they know.
That's
Yeah.
how, or like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj or whatever. It's always, I feel like rap is a very like, let's put these two people against each other in the media versus like unite them.
You really got to look out for features.
I don't know. But this is just from someone who's, like you said, I'm so far away from the center. This is what I know. This has never
Yeah.
been. I feel like I've never really had the exposure of, I just hear what plays on the radio. But
Maybe that's
now
it.
I know so much more, and I'm so intrigued.
Love
It's
it.
certainly the most newsworthy thing, I think, is the fights of it all.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you say that there's more fights or there's more love? It seems like there's more love. There has
yeah.
to be.
I mean, mathematically, if the three of us get into a brawl, how many other people are there on the campus? You know what I mean?
Thousands.
So mathematically, that's rap beef. So it's three people, but there's thousands who are just chilling, doing their thing,
Yeah.
right? So there's far more love, and then eventually those people will get in a fight and we'll be chilling. And that's rap beef. It happens.
Beautiful. But
Yeah.
This is so
great question. I guess, speaking of campus and stuff like that, you've been a lecturer on this campus a couple times, and you say you come here often, actually.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, first of all, for teaching our students. Thank you, second of all, for teaching us. And third of all, has SDSU kind of placed or had some sort of influence in rap scene in San Diego?
Yeah. This very space that we're in, KCR was a hub. Like there are still recordings floating around out there of live performances of underground rappers showing up here, and underground mainstream rappers would come here after shows and be like, oh, like again, that would be the Odd Future cats.
Yeah.
That's who would come out to KCR because they would know the DJ. The DJ that's here would be the local homeboy. So if they were coming through, they were going to shout out who that was. And it might be Nims or 12 Jewels. And I'm disrespecting because there's so many different cats who were here. So I'm not even going to try and name out names like that. But they would be having shows here like I want to say Saturdays and Sundays over the years, and it would just be, there wasn't underground rap there. It didn't exist. So this was one of the few places you could get it. And then later Z90 would have a late night show that would run from like 12 at night on a Saturday till 1 a.m. But that was it. That was the only time you were going to get underground or unsigned multinational rap acts. KCR, Z90, and then sometimes we could get K-Day, but that's a whole separate subject from LA.
Wow. So we were one of the few radio stations here, KCR.
Absolutely.
We were one of the few that were platforming underground rappers and kind of collaborating with mainstream rappers.
Yeah, because the students that were here that were a part of KCR, they were boots on the ground and were connected to these underground acts. So I do want to credit the university for giving a space for that to happen, but it's really just the boots on the ground interactions that you would have between local artists, local fans, and West Coast performers.
Mm-hmm. And you yourself have DJ'd with some of these folks before, or played performances with them?
Yeah, I wasn't at KCR crazy like that. A lot of because it was top tier rappers that were in the underground.
Yeah.
So I wasn't of that caliber just yet. I was still cutting my teeth and just listening to it. This might have been like 92 to like 90, maybe like 96, 97.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been going bigger than that, but that was the time where it was bonkers. Like you were getting tapes on the streets. So I wasn't quite of that caliber just yet. And cassettes are these things that people would pass music on. So
we know what cassettes are.
I knew you did, Jalen. I knew you did. Yeah, and so it was I wasn't quite that good, but I did stop in here a couple times and got to, I'd be on some freestyle sessions, but I wasn't a mainstay like some of the other artists.
But nonetheless, you're saying that KCR had a pretty significant standing. Did
Absolutely.
any other part of SDSU influence the rap genre and the rap presence in San Diego?
Absolutely. It's one of the most well-known party schools in the nation.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? So this is exactly like the fraternities would be throwing events. They would throw events on campus. They have the big amphitheater here now, but
Yeah.
they had smaller venues that would, again, host touring acts would come out and perform. So absolutely, SDSU has always been like a haven for local music, and especially it's been good for underground rap.
Great. And as we kind of close up, I certainly don't want to take too much of your time, but thank you for joining with us today.
My pleasure.
I'm like geeking right now. I'm really enjoying this episode. I love history and I love music, so this is like the perfect wow. I'm so like when you're talking about the frats right now and how like they used to like the party music too and not just KCR, I was like, oh wait, it's like all coming together. It's crazy.
Well, I guess that it kind of brings me to a more broader question. That maybe a good one to close us out is, I think people often think that when we're talking about history, especially rap history, that the good times are past us. Mm-hmm. But is that the case? Are we still cultivating the same kind of presence here at SDSU and in San Diego in general, or and what should we look out for? What should we look out for in terms of rap here in San Diego nowadays?
That's a great question, Rami.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the level of creativity hasn't slowed down. It's multiplying just as people are, just as technology is. So I don't think that the golden age is past. I think all art is still expanding, and I think San Diego rap is still really thriving. I think to catch local performances, if you just jump on social media, jump on Instagram, or whatever platform and put in San Diego rap, something, or San Diego rap events, you'll get a thread, and then you can start bouncing around and start looking. But that might be the best way, because it really does thrive on like word of mouth. But check out people like Rick Scales, Sham Black, Platform Collection. Oh gosh, there's like a lot of Dago Fats. These are Odessa Kane. There's a slew of like San Diego rappers. You can just tap onto their page, and whatever's happening, they'll be connected to it.
Wonderful. So things aren't stopping. Things aren't slowing down, is what you're saying, and it's ever evolving. That's good to know that we are still making history. But
Yeah, man.
It doesn't end with our generation.
Nah. I think it'll be good. I think the two of y'all should do an album. Personally.
Oh, we've had a little bit of
we
musical
can start
sessions.
beatboxing for you right now.
We always.
Hold on to that. I'm interested.
Well, you don't want to hear us? You don't
Not
want-
this, I want to use it all the time.
We do improv, so we can do this live on the spot right now. Okay.
No, as soon as the mics are off, we'll get to it.
I think he
you
wants
guys
to hear
can't
us.
have it. No, you can't have it yet. We have the workshop.
Sure, we don't want any
Yeah,
unreleased stuff
yeah.
getting out there. This is really
Yeah.
important, and clearly he sees some potential in us.
I do.
Well, I guess. Do you have any last minute thoughts? Any questions
A
you
call
wish?
to action. I
Yeah.
always ask a call to action.
Oh, absolutely, especially in this case. Considering your young people should consume more art, I certainly think that is a fantastic call to action that I know my generation sometimes lacks.
Check out Soul Sundays. Go play Rick Scales. Go play Mitchie Slick. Check out Soul Sundays. That's an event that happens at the Courtyard. That's a fantastic event. Check out Soul Sundays. Look up Rick Scales and go play some Mitchie Slick. Those are the three.
Deal. Amazing.
Wonderful.
And I get on that right now. Get on Spotify, get on YouTube, get
Exit
on
this episode
social media.
and go do that right now.
Stop listening to us and start listening to Ricky Scales, please. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Yeah.
Parker, for being on the episode today.
It's been a blast.
Just a fantastic episode, and I appreciate you coming back to maybe your former KCR stomping grounds, even for a little bit, and educating us on a very, very beautiful genre.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.